Welcome to Champagne Sunday. I'm Lauren.
Hey, I'm Bonnie.
I'm Beth.
And we're going to talk about life
After divorce.
And living
The best life.
and the life you love.
Yes, living the life you love on that other side.
Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome. Tonight, we're going to talk about other people's expectations of us and what that looks like now. Because I think it's all different. It changes. What your thoughts on what other people expect of you changes as your situation changes and as we get older and that sort of thing.
Or at least your response to that or recognition of that.
Or both.
Yeah.
I think what I found is people have the same expectation of me that they had when I was married. In other words, I could get it all done. I don't know how to say that. I could get it all done because there was another warm body in my house. Not that someone was helping me, but that I could leave my children at home and
Yes.
and get more done.
Yeah.
Which now it's just me. My children are older. One of them's an adult, but I still have a child in the home that's a teenager, and I don't feel like I feel like I'm stretched thin, even just being a mother and just having a job. Not to mention church, community, all that other kind of stuff.
But your full-time job is more than 40 hours a week sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and it's not normal hours. So
No, it's not.
And so you're working not just a job, you're working a career, sometimes way beyond like the 40 hours. So you've got that and kids at home expectations and all of that.
But I think even my expectations of myself have had to lower. I had very high expectations of what I can
Lower
get done.
or adjust? Because it's not like you're doing less work. You're just having to adjust where you're putting that work in. Because you could have those same expectations if you didn't work your job as hard.
That's true.
But you can't do that.
I can't.
So.
No, and I am a type A when it comes to getting work
so
done.
you should be able to do
that's
everything
really,
all the time.
Well, yeah, and that's your expectation. And that's the problem. Right there.
And there you go.
That's my expectation too. And I feel like since I've gotten divorced, I've had to make a priority list of what I really want to do and what I really can accomplish. Because, the running joke with my friends for years has been, Beth does a lot of stuff in her spare time. This is my life, and my spare time was this tiny little 1/16th piece on the pie, and that's where I crammed everything in, all my creativity, when I had my shop, when I traveled for a wholesale business, when I did Parish Life, when I did vestry, the Polk Home, when I was the president of the Polk Home. I did all that in that tiny little sliver, and that was a big joke. Beth does all that in her spare time. I feel like now, my spare time, I have no spare time. I feel like every minute has a designation. And I have very high expectations for what I can get done in 24 hours, and I've had to have a reality check on, I cannot do that.
What, you need sleep?
I know. That goes into the other tiny sliver of my pie chart of my life.
All right, I'm going to get us another bottle.
Okay.
So you keep talking.
Well, if you try to work and have a child,
Yeah.
you're already cutting into any kind of personal time you would ever have.
Yes. And lately, especially, and I'm more recently divorced than, I guess, than any of us. And so that new normal is still it's fresh, and I've only been living in my house alone for 3 months and trying to figure out how to do that. So right now, I am so protective of my space and my peace and my like alone time with me and my time with my child, that anything right now that isn't my boss, like telling me what to do, goes all over me. So, you know, if I go to a community rehearsal that I'm volunteering for and somebody's nasty to me, it angers me so much. Or if just like general complaints, I'm like, guys, hold on. Will you just let me have a minute to figure this out? Because again, I mean, single moms everywhere, it's difficult, but like, you know, a lot of us are working the full-time jobs and the part-time jobs, and we're trying to volunteer in the community and in our kids' schools, and we're just doing the best we can while we're trying to give our kids the most magical time we can.
The magical childhood.
I want you to be okay and happy. And
Well,
so, but it's gotten to the point that like, and we have talked about this a little bit, but like, I'm starting to wall people up a little bit who are toxic in that way in my life. You know, like when they expect you to do all these things for them, or that you're just gonna like be okay and not have the moments that you need to take for self-care.
Right.
And I have traditionally been terrible at that, but now I guess it's because I'm a single mom. I'm hyper aware of self-care.
Well, but not only that, but you also both seem more hyper aware of what your time is valued. All of a sudden, your spare time has this tremendous value
It does.
that it did not have
Yep.
at one time. At one time, it was just so easy to flitter away. And now, every moment is precious. And
Yeah.
so when someone stomps on it, you want it fists up, buddy. That's my time.
And part of it, I think, is that, at least right now, in this sort of, I'm calling this my honeymoon phase of my divorce.
That's a great term
That's
for it.
funny. That's funny.
that-
Ladies and gentlemen, comic relief. But, you know, my divorce has been final for 6 months.
Oh, has it
I've
been that long?
6 months.
Wow.
Since May.
Congratulations.
May, June, July, August, September, October.
Yay.
Yeah,
Seriously.
6 months, half a year. But I've only been alone in my home for 3 months.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
suddenly in this like relationship with my house and with my new life. And it's this just peaceful situation that I'm like ready to go to battle to protect, you know?
Yeah.
So anything that interferes with that, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. So anyway, And
I
you
did
know-
that the first year.
yeah,
Yeah, I called it circling the wagon.
yeah,
I stayed home, I painted, I rearranged the furniture that was left. I did, I made it my little
yeah,
nest, my little nest.
yeah,
So, and I did protect,
yeah,
and I protected who came in my house.
Yeah.
I even went that far.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I had guys that wanted to date me. I didn't date the first year, but the second year, I protected who came in I didn't want people in my house.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
only had one person in my house in that way,
Just
and it just
couldn't.
had to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Well-
it has to be someone you trust.
Otherwise, you have to get the sage out.
yeah. I have only seen one person, and we have been seeing each other for a minute, except for a brief hiatus. But I still don't involve him, like, on the regular in my kid's life, like as a
You-
person that he knows that his mom is with,
Mhm.
because that feels so soon to me.
Well, and you're still protecting your kid.
Yeah.
Your kid needs to have a safe environment,
Yeah.
and you are his safe place.
Yes.
That no matter what goes on else in the world, he
Mhm.
knows that he and mom in the house is a safe place. Yeah, I completely get that.
So, anyway.
Well, I'm in a completely different place than you guys because I am empty nest, and it sucks. I don't like being empty nest, but I realize how important and how precious all of my time is, and I'm frustrated that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to be painting? Am I supposed to be writing? Am I supposed to be volunteering in the community? Like, losing that, I am now like the queen mother. I am mom in name only.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actively a mother. I'm not actively, it just, like, losing that role is just sort of, I don't know, kind of weirded me out. Like, I just kind of feel a little lost. I can't throw my whole self into my job 24/7. I have to have other things. And I've enjoyed painting and doing all of that, but I don't know, it can be a very lonely, solitary thing.
True.
So protecting, yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
and I think, even though I still have a child at home, when she goes to her dad's, I have found that I need to have a plan. So
Right,
I
well,
don't have that immediate letdown of,
Yeah, so as this single person in my house, I mean, and I love my house. I'll date my house for a while, I suppose. But it's just, what are my expectations for myself? What are my creative expectations? What are my career expectations? Like, all of a sudden, I'm redefining everything, and it's just a little strange, and even I feel like I'm walking on jello. Like, not sure exactly which way to go.
I think a lot of things that people don't talk about with divorce are how changes affect you. You have a little tiny shift. Something else changes after you've had the big change of divorce. And it does kind of fly over you. It's like you're very sensitive to any kind of seismic activity in your house.
Well, that's okay. I can see. I've had a ton of changes all at one time. Like, I feel like I was standing in a hallway in a house, and every single door slammed at the same time.
Yeah.
I quit dating the guy I was dating, or we quit dating. My ex-husband passed away, and we settled his estate. So now I'm not an ex-wife or a widow. I'm not sure what I am. And my child moved away. I left working inside a school inside the school system. So I left having those 1 million conversations a day to having 5, like all of these things all at one time.
That's a lot of change at one time. So I'm trying to be more kind to myself these days, because I am my harshest critic. I do realize that, and I'm trying to lighten up a little bit. And I'm trying not to have as much expectation of what I can get done in a day, or how I plan my weekend. Because I realize I had a good weekend this weekend from the perspective of Saturday. I stitched. I got to sit on my couch and stitch. Nice. I got to have time for myself, by myself. Yeah. Everybody else was busy. I had my little, my little room, and
That's nice. So you've got to work on your expectations for yourself. Beth's expectations on herself. You are working on everybody else needs to work on their expectations of you and how your world has changed. And I just want expectations.
My new theory is just you. It's you. Because if you're gonna, I rarely, and I can legitimately say this about myself, I rarely get upset if somebody doesn't meet what I need them to meet. I'm super flexible, and I understand that everybody has their crap. It's what makes me a great educator. It really does, I think. And I think unless I'm very wrong and not being very objective about myself, I think that's true about me.
Well, you're intuitive about other people and where they are.
Like, if I have plans with somebody and they're like, I just can't, I'm like, it's okay. Like, we're good. I would never get upset about something like that. But so that tends to be me in life because I'm more of a type B personality. I'm a 7 ENFP, a 7 what is it called? Enneagram and an ENFP. So these things don't stress me out. But when other people put that on me, right now, all I want to say is, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. I have lots of friends. You go over there. So, I was talking to, this goes back to expectations. I was talking to my organist at church, who's one of my best friends, the other day. And I said, you know what? I think I'm turning over a new leaf. And I think what I'm going to do is say to people, when the new year begins, when January 1st hits, I'm going to say, all right, people, if you want to ask things of me, I just get asked things of me a lot because I do the arts. And when you do the arts, people ask things a lot of you. Side note, audience.
Well, you also work for the church.
And I work for the church. I work for a school. And so, a lot of people tend to ask you to do things. And I said, I'm gonna start the new year every year with 10 yeses. I'm going to say, all right, here's your 10 yeses.
You're not doing the year of yes, you're doing the year of 10 yeses.
Yeah, this is year of 10 yeses. So if y'all want to get in on these January 1, because then I'm cutting it off. And he said, I got one better. Get 5 yeses and 5 free yeses and 5 yeses that'll cost some. He said, in the meantime, I will be your no person. Just have him call me.
I'd like to pre-order the podcast as a yes.
Yes, me too.
Champagne Sundays, we would like to pre-order that as a yes.
No, I mean like, work things,
I know.
you know.
Well, you're
but
you volunteer for community theater.
Yeah.
And that's a huge time commitment.
Well, but you'd be amazed at other things that people, y'all know this. People ask you to do all kinds of things. All kinds of things if you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
So
once they find out that you're capable, it's like, hey,
my
Lauren
father
can do it.
My father
Lauren
used to say the worst thing you could do is let people know what you can do.
Okay, I have to agree with that for a good extent.
Exactly
yeah.
So anyway, but I'm at a moment that I'm so much more protective of all of that.
Yeah.
Because it's survival, but it's also my happiness and my kids' happiness. And when I recognize, like, I'm a goer, I'm a doer, I'm a runner. I like busy schedule. But in reflection these last few months, I ran a lot because I didn't want to be home because I was miserable.
It was your avoidance tactic.
Now I'm not miserable.
Right.
I'm happy.
Yeah, you were looking for things to get you out of the house because you didn't want to be there.
And now I'm happy. And I just want to, like, hang out with me, hang out with my bests, hang out with my kiddo.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. So all these other negative expectations that pop up in things that you're just doing because you're kind go all over me.
Yeah.
And I really try to always operate from a spot of kindness. Like I'm not a condescending person. I really try. I mean, everybody messes up, but like I really try to always come from a place of understanding and positivity and everything. So when other people don't, it's always a little bit of a shock to my system, especially when it's like, hold the phone. Like,
right.
Let's just stop and look at what everybody else is doing around you. Like, come on.
But you have a worldview, and as an educator, I think that's just a part of it. And there are people who live in their own little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just recognizing and going, oh, you're one of those.
Yeah.
And being able to brush it off and yeah. Wow. Expectations.
Yeah. Well, I think what people don't realize is what it makes you do is to go, okay, I'm pushing that person away. I'm going to push that person away because I'm not going to deal with that. But
well, I think what I have found
also though, I'm a
prioritize
people
my
pleaser.
peace. Yeah. And I'm a people pleaser too. But at the end of the day, the most important person I have to please is me.
Yeah.
Oh, but remembering
so that I can do for my kids and I have been really bad about doing self-care in the past. I've put everybody before me.
Well, I think all three of us can say that is kind of how we ran our marriages.
Yeah.
As we are at the bottom tier, and our husbands and our children came first, and it was trying to make that work, especially as things started to implode. It was working overtime to try and figure out how to make it work, or employing the let's be a workaholic.
In my case, it's how can I not be there?
Right.
And that was a subconscious
But I
thing.
had that too, and I recognized that at a certain point when everything was kind of really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to go home.
Yeah.
I had 2 kids, but I did not want to be there.
See, and I did that I did that
until
too.
He moved out, and then it was like.
But don't
really
you think that?
Yeah.
And I feel like that for me, it was part of doing that was also a part of trying to save the marriage because I was at my wit's end. I was done. I had no idea what else to do. So maybe if I really busied myself, I'd just look up one day and things would be done.
I think that ended up being my means of separating because he wouldn't leave my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That I just stayed gone, and I came home, but I came home late at night because I didn't want to be there with him in the house, and that I recognize in retrospect I did all these subconscious things before I was ready to say this is over, like
right.
But that was it was my mechanism of I guess, of separating, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's good.
Yeah.
So moving forward, expectations. You're working on setting boundaries.
Yeah. The truth is, I mean, I have a big job. My job is huge and it's very demanding, and I really have to make sure that I'm meeting the expectations of those people first. Like, it has to be. And I mean, obviously of my kid, but like, those are the only people that I owe any kind of expectation to, are the people that employ me and the person who depends on me to survive.
And see, I think my boundaries, going back to work in this industry and kind of learning it over again. I now have about a year and a half under my belt, and I feel like I have things kind of clipped along. I do have to meet my boss's expectation, and company expectation. But what I tend to do as a people pleaser is answer my phone, because they all have my phone number, at all hours of the day and night. And I have consciously stopped answering the phone Friday after 5:30 to Monday morning at 8. Mm-hmm. Now, if they have an emergency, they know they can text me or they'll leave me a message and I'll get back to them. But I was wide open there for a while, and that will really cut into your peace and your me time and exercise. I took calls at Red X. Hey, I took a client on the way home from my knee surgery. Literally on the way. So now I have my boundaries for me to guard my off time. But, and that's how I'm working on my expectations of, because I still haven't said no to a client yet, but we're working on that one too.
Well, and I'm just working on setting some expectations that are realistic for me. And I guess really it's not setting expectations, it's deciding what direction I want to go in. Mm-hmm. I was telling Beth I saw a job that looked great a city away, but I don't know that I necessarily want to move to another city right this minute. Do I want to write? Do I want to, I've got to figure out exactly what it is I want to do, and then I can plot my expectations.
Well, I think you need to do art shows, but you don't need to have them back to back to back to back, because
that kind of wore me out.
A huge expectation of how many paintings can you get done in the next.
Yeah, and that kind of diminishes the enjoyment of it, and really am I really creating worthwhile art if I'm just trying to fill a space?
Right.
And you could go out of town every weekend if you wanted to. You could just
but what would I do? That's explore. Just it. It's but what do I want to explore? All of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is open. I could find a job on the other side of the continent. I could actually, I could find a job going to work overseas. Mm-hmm. I could teach overseas if I wanted to. But do I really want to do that? I have a really great job right now, and I enjoy it. I mean, but I don't. It's just one of those. All of a sudden, I have all of this freedom to just go do whatever I want. So I just really need to spend this next.
I just kind of always imagined that for myself, that I would just go and do this other second career in the arts in whatever, whether it's singing with a jazz band or going to work on films or going to direct a show, or that it's going to end up being sort of this menagerie of things. So what did you always sort of imagine that this moment would be?
Well, I guess that's the problem, is that I graduated with a degree in English to teach English. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved teaching English, but it was kind of an accident, because I started in elementary education and hated it. And so then changed to English education, or not English, just English, just a straight English degree in art, because I loved doing art. But then, and I did English because every time I failed a class or didn't do really well in college, I'd take 2 English classes to make up for it. I took every English class South Alabama offered. And so in the end, it was so easy, I'll just get an English degree. And my dad was like, what you going to do with that English degree? Be a secretary? I'm like, oh, yeah. So I was going to do art. But then my art teacher in college looked at my palette in painting class and said, oh, you'll never make it as an artist. You're way too organized with your palette. Oh. And so it just kind of crushed my spirit at that moment. It was like, okay. And so I kind of fell into, I'll just be an English teacher. And I was great at it, and I enjoyed it. And then I was a librarian for a year and a half, but I never really had a plan after that. When I got married, the expectation from my husband that I was going to stay at home with our kids. I wasn't ever going to work, you know. And then I got a job, you know what I mean? So it was like I guess my expectation was I will be happily married with children. And as the children get older, I will throw myself into my art and it will become whatever. But it doesn't matter because I'm being supported by my husband, which is a very 1950s mentality. I get that. So I never really took the time to dream about what that would look like. And so I thought about, I wanted to write novels. And I have probably 3 unfinished novels stuck up in my computer somewhere. And I enjoy writing and all that. But I have never, it's almost like now it's time to decide what it is I want to be when I grow up. Like all of a sudden. And so I've never had that.
Girl, you need to make a plan.
Yeah,
I need to make a plan.
This is a big moment.
I know.
Yeah.
But it means the whole world is open to you.
I know.
That's true.
That's the most exciting.
You have unlimited.
I'm getting goosebumps
I know.
thinking about
That's
it.
some great
That's
stuff,
the most
Bonnie.
exciting.
It's very exciting.
Like you can do anything.
I know, but what is that? What is it? And whatever it is I decide I want to do, I have to make a plan and do it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just, if it's writing, I need to be finding time during the week to actually execute the writing.
Well,
if it's painting, I need to be working on painting. It's, whatever it is, I need to figure it out. I need to commit to it, and I need to run with it. So, anyway, I don't know.
But
also,
also, here's the other. This is again your Type 7 and ENFP friend talking. Just have fun and change your mind as much as you want. You know.
I was gonna say you might decide on one thing, and if that doesn't work out, but you had a great experience, and you can do something else.
Yeah.
And the best thing is, you don't have somebody telling you.
Nope.
I told you.
Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That's the other reason that fucking expectations will get to you. Because we've had control freaks for years telling us exactly what they thought we should do or not do.
Well, and I grew up always thinking that my dream was that I was going to be happily married.
Yeah.
Okay. Scratch that.
So
I've wanted to, and I've wanted, I guess in the end I would love to have someone that I fell in love with, that I felt a connection with, and all of that. But I don't feel that need for somebody anymore like I did at one time.
Yeah, totally. I
don't feel that need. I just
unless they are the person.
God is pretty much gonna have to smack me upside the head with a man.
I wish that I could go back and tell my previous self that, because complete opposite. I did not grow up with the expectation that I was going to be happily married, and I grew up with my parents saying, "Get your education. You don't need a man."
My parents said that, but I still wanted the fairy tale princess thing. I put it on myself.
So I really thought, I don't know that I thought that I would never get married, but I thought that that my art would always be first. And it turns out it really has been. It turns out that what I do career-wise has always truly been first. I will not deny that. But so I don't know.
Okay,
now on the other side of that, I wish I could tell myself, unless it's somebody that you want to, that you love being around all the time.
A best friend.
All the time.
Or that you can be okay without being around them all the time.
Yeah.
You can have separate lives, but that you can
do your things, but that you can do that it complements you completely.
Well, like best friends, like the ones where you can have time with, have time without. You don't have to be all each other's rear ends.
That is the only way to choose that, and absolutely. I wish I could go back and tell 24-year-old Lauren, no.
Yeah. Well, see, and I would want to
think
do the
harder.
opposite. My ex-husband and I didn't have to be together. Like, we were opposite. We were not. It was, my mom was like, y'all don't even, y'all are okay being apart. Are you sure you're going to be okay married? I was like, oh, yeah, we'll be fine. But we were okay being apart. And, and I was almost like I just want a little something better.
That's okay. I like the idea of being able to do separate things and not.
Yes. And that,
my ex, like didn't like doing anything apart. It was gotta go to the store together, gotta do, and like that's a little
Tedious.
suffocating, you know. So anyway,
Yeah.
what were you about to say, Beth?
Yes,
you had
you
a
were
comment.
having a come apart
you had
over here.
You had a big like hand raise.
Because you said my art came first. Okay. I don't know how our audience is gonna react to that, but I was sitting here thinking, you know, if a man said that my job came first,
Yeah.
nobody would bat an eye.
No.
But if you're a mother and a wife or ex-wife and said, oh, I wish I had put my career first, my career came first, my passion came first, people throw like rotten tomatoes at you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a whole different thing. The man and the woman, and I don't think that has changed that much. You know, you said your expectation was to be a wife and a mother. That was your expectation. You know, I think people my age, and you're right behind me, I think we were sold a bill of goods. With Disney,
fault.
Princess, the guy's going to come in and save you. I've always been fiercely independent.
Yeah, me too.
Fiercely independent.
Me too.
So I didn't know that any guy would ever even want to save me. Like, I don't think they even saw me as I don't think I present as the damsel in distress.
Beth?
But I had that expectation, though. Y'all know I got accepted to dental school at age 30.
Yeah.
I walked in cold and took the DAT. I didn't study it, and I passed it, and I was accepted. And that's what I had always wanted to do. And then I met my
Your
ex.
expectation was
my
different?
My ex's expectation of me was completely different. And he said his mother worked. He didn't want a wife that worked.
Yeah.
And I gave it up like a dum-dum. That's my only really big regret in life. But I just think when you said that, I thought, we're sitting here and now, me in my late 50s, now I am reinventing myself. Every once in a while, I don't like the fact that I'm reinventing myself because I feel like I've done it at every stage of my life. But at the other point, listening to everything, I'm thinking, what a gift. We get to reinvent ourselves.
Yeah.
We get to have greater expectations of ourselves than our younger age.
Okay, this is exactly what my friend Jeremy said to me a few weeks ago. I was talking to him about the relationship I was in that had a brief hiatus, and I was telling him how all that happened. I was talking to him about everything, and he said, but Lauren, think about where we are now and how much we know and how much life we still have to live. Like, we're going to live till we're 90, 100. Like, think about it. We're not, like, we know so much now. And I was like, that's it. That's great.
Yeah, that is. But I think it's a gift that we all get to sit here and decide how we want to move forward, what we want our lives to look like.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was in the middle of divorce or right before divorce, when you're deciding, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? You have that first gut wrench, like, I don't want to be divorced. This is not what I pictured my life being like. And then when you realize, I think for every single one of us, it was really the only choice.
Yeah.
As far as peace and moving forward with our lives. And now we're at a place where we can actually do something for ourselves, for our children.
Yep.
And so I had this little thing in the back of my door. I bought it when I first found out about my ex's first girlfriend. And it's I love.
You mean girlfriend when you were married?
Yes.
Same.
And I love folk art. So it said "Happy Wife, Happy Life."
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking "Happy Me, Happy Life."
Right.
So I need to make another sign.
That's funny.
No, I realized, I don't know, through all this process that being artistic is always going to be the thing I have to do. Like, I can't imagine not being dictated by that, or there being a day that when COVID hit, when the pandemic happened, I was like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to be in rehearsal. I don't know how not to be in rehearsal. So I painted. I painted. I played piano a
You
lot.
play piano a lot.
Because I don't know how not to do those things. And then in all of this thinking, I recognized, okay, I'm an artist. Like, first and foremost, that is what I identify as. And then I identify as a woman and as a mother. Like, sure, but I'm an artist above all those things. But it doesn't mean that the hierarchy of the important people in my life are different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I recognize.
Yeah.
Like, no, my calling, this might be controversial, audience. My calling is not to be a mother. My calling is to be an artist. I'm an artist who happens to be a woman and a mother. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't decrease the love. It doesn't change, again, who's the most important humans in your
it
life.
just kind of defines who you are.
It just means that calling, that thing is always going to be what drives me. I will never be able to get away from that force because it is nature, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know how not to.
I feel that way about stitching, and everybody that knows me knows I feel like I don't have a normal day unless I sink a stitch in. If I do a little stitching, then I can pretty much handle anything because I feel the need to
Get something out there
every day.
Yeah.
And I have days when I don't do that, but you know what I do on the road? I doodle in my notebook.
Yes,
I do doodles because
listen,
I can't.
That's
not
the
do
biggest
something.
thing that we all share is that need to create.
Yes.
And it's hard for me. There are people out there who don't have that instinct. Like, a lot of people don't have the instinct to create.
I just,
you know,
I don't think that's true. I taught a whole thing on that. I think you were given. Everybody has some kind of creative spark. Now you might not be able to draw, but you could do something else. But I think people tamp it down so far because we were taught as a society that you have to make money.
Yeah.
That you have to get educated and make money, and so they're so career driven that they drop that starving artist part of themselves that really is who they are.
Really, anything. So I consider even athletics a form of art because anything that's expressive.
Well, I think it just about
artistic.
any job that you have.
Athletics is physically expressive. You're being physically expressive.
Well, and you have to be. Sometimes you have to be creative in how you execute your athletics. But even somebody who works in sort of the banking industry, if they're working creative deals for people or finding solutions where nobody else is, that's creativity.
That is creativity.
You know, if people, some
Thinking
people
outside
are
the
really
box.
great people. Your sister is one of those people persons who just gets people. She works in the school system.
Oh, Jordan.
And she just gets people. She just knows what's needed and kind of understands situations. That's a gift and can be creative. Mm-hmm. You know, so it doesn't have to express in an actual art form.
No, it's our way. This is what I teach my theater appreciation classes. Art is our way of dealing with our mortality. Mm. I didn't.
So that's why my stitching stash is so big. So I will never die because I will never get through it.
It's our need to leave something in the world or need to put something
leave your mark in the
valuable in the world.
Yep.
It's the same need that some people have to have children because they want a legacy to leave in the world. You know.
See, and I guess in mine, in some small point, is giving value just to my day.
Yeah.
If I don't do anything else, but I get to sit down, I find, and start something or plan something or work towards something. I feel like I have given, and especially right now when I feel kind of lost, it's given value to my day. And it's like, okay, well, there.
Yeah. I did this.
I did
but
something.
You have cranked out some art lately.
Oh,
yeah,
I have, and I have loved it, and it's been really well received, and that has been very validating and fabulous, encouraging to move forward. And I've just really got to, I don't know, stop a minute and figure out in what way to make it go.
Yeah.
But when we talk about all of these things, I don't regret 1 ounce of love I gave my ex-husband. And I don't regret the divorce that happened. I have decided that regret, as we're working on expectations, that regret places expectations on my past self that I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And
then I just have to accept that where I was and be okay with how things turned and just be at peace with the love that I have gifted in some cases and shared. And
I don't have a regret for the people that I love and the way that I love them. I regret that I lost myself in a
Yes.
lot of that because,
Yeah, that's
my
true.
divorce,
I lost
from the
myself
time
and
that
my
I needed
ex-husband
to get
too.
divorced to the time that actually happened was 10 years. 10
Yeah.
years. And I
Yeah,
feel like
I think we're all
that's
about. We all
long.
spent about 10 years in our marriages.
Yeah.
Past where
Well,
we should have.
That was my whole marriage. So I'm going to go
Okay.
ahead and say
10 years was your
the
whole marriage.
the other thing, which is that I do regret it. I do regret picking the wrong guy. I wish I had waited. I wish that I had chosen differently. My only solace, because I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. It was
I
a
guess
very
that's
rare
true.
occasion that I felt really happy.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that I got an amazing child
You have
out
an
of it.
amazing
I
He's
got
an
3
amazing
amazing
child.
kids, and I guess that's a unique way to look at it. I mean, my ex-husband, we looked really great on paper.
Same.
And
That's what it
I
was.
Really great on paper, and
paper was right.
I did love him. I
Yeah.
was in love with him, and I had tons of questions, even leading right up to the wedding day. But I brushed them all aside because I loved him, and we looked great on paper.
Yeah.
How could it not work out? So I guess, I don't know. I just don't want to spend, I guess Pollyanna here doesn't want to spend any time on regret.
So the grade on paper, just circling back to our topic, grade on paper is another expectation.
Yeah,
That's true.
You're
you're
expected to create a life with somebody who is comparable to you in what career or education level, and that's so not necessarily important.
Well, and I think, honestly, if I could go back and talk to myself back then,
Yeah.
I would have asked her to speak to my ex-husband about what his expectations of marriage and family were.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out we weren't on the same page.
No.
But I
obviously,
didn't. I just assumed we were.
Yeah.
And I
Because we
gave
came
in.
from such similar families.
Obviously, I wasn't on the same page with my person. I thought he was an artist. I thought he was a writer and musician, and that's the perspective he was
person you
coming
were
with.
marrying,
Because
yeah.
I grew up a child of artists, and it meant that we ate dinner on the run, that we were constantly at gigs or rehearsals, and like that was my normal. Like we didn't sit down to dinner. I couldn't tell you a night that my family sat down to dinner because we had things that we did at night because artists happen at night, especially if you're a performer. So I thought he was coming at it from that perspective too, and it turned out that he wasn't. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm never going to be Miss Susie get dinner on the table. That's not who I am. Like I can't do it. My life won't allow that. And I didn't know that that's not who he was until we were well on in it. So, and now, completely other side of that, I'm with somebody now who isn't even vaguely traditionally what would be correct on paper. And it's so much better. It's so much more fun and calmer than any of that with my ex-husband. So anyway, it tells me that what looks right or what society has dictated is correct isn't necessarily at all, not even vaguely.
So on this side of divorce, in creating a life that we love, expectations are important. Recognizing when we need to redefine our expectations for ourselves, or setting boundaries with expectations other people have of us, or creating expectations in a new phase of life.
Yeah.
And breaking expectations that were bad.
And not being afraid to do that.
Yeah.
This has been a very good
Such a
talk,
productive
ladies.
talk. I feel great.
I feel great.
Look what we put into the world today. Woo!
Oh, this has been fun. All great. All right, so what are y'all doing this week to create a good life? Anything?
I have lots of rehearsals because I have like 3 different things in the hat. I have to go see a couple of shows this weekend. And I'm taking my kid to one of them, so that'll be fun. And I'm going to see my friend who had a new baby. And otherwise, I'm really trying to be cognizant of working out every day, like not just sporadically. And that's the thing that I need to fix. So.
Yeah, Beth and I walked today in the freezing cold.
It was freezing.
But like sometimes I love that because you can bundle up, but you can breathe so well.
I know.
Like it's just like it clears you out.
We need to
Okay,
wear
that was
And I'm
not
not
today.
sneezing.
No,
I
we
don't
didn't wear enough
We
clothes.
did not wear enough clothes today.
So what are you doing this week, Bonnie, for your...
Oh, my girl comes home on Saturday.
Yay!
So I
Will
guess
she be home a whole week?
Yes. So
Oh,
she comes
Leo's-
home on Saturday. Yes, and so we need to make sure we
I
get
have
some
Leo this
Leo
weekend.
Natalie time. Good. So now I'll pick her up from the airport on Saturday. If Leo
Okay.
wants to go to the airport with me, he could go with me to pick her up.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'm coming. She'll get home on Saturday. So I'm gonna spend some time in the house, just kind of getting her room cleaned up and getting some of the house. I'm having some things in the house painted, so it's kind of a mess trying to get some stuff put away. I've got art shows still strewn from the first, actually inside my car through the house. So I've got to get art show put away until the next one in December. So I guess I'm just, and I'm hoping to get my calendar together with Beth so that we can figure out, we're going to try and figure out a time perhaps that we can encourage each other to write, like show up, like schedule some of that time. And I think that is going to help move me in a good direction. So.
Well, I started off the week going to a show with my daughter.
So you've already had a fabulous week
And
already.
I had to start, well, I'm staying Sunday to Sunday. And so that's something we both share, a love of musicals. She sings much better than I do, but we sing musicals all the way to the musical, sit and watch the musical, and then sing musicals all the way back. So
This
it was
is my
fun.
life. It's
But
my life.
this is what she wants to have as her life.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to encourage that, and it's good mom-daughter time. And then I finished a stitch piece, and I did my kids' stockings, needlepoint stockings, and I've had this one in my hopper for a long time, and I've started my stocking.
Yeah, your own stocking.
My own stocking.
Yay.
Included. I have one at the mantle, but and I have 3 commissions.
Yes.
And I'm waiting for the third picture, so they're primed and ready to go. And
So you're looking at a creative week.
I'm looking at a career week. I have a busy week. I think I'm traveling 4 days, so we'll see. But I think they're all pretty early travel times, so hopefully I won't get that late Friday thing again, which kind of it's the record scratch.
Protect your
before they
Fridays.
start the
Protect your
weekend.
Fridays. Protect your
But
Fridays.
that's what I'm planning to.
Good.
So
Well,
excited.
very good.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, everyone's starting off this week. I taught Sunday school this morning. Will be first graders. They're so fun. They are so hilarious. I love them, each and every one. So, well, all right. Well, shall we clink to end?
Clink.
Y'all
Cheers to here.
Yes. Y'all have a great week.
See you next week,
See you
girls.
next week. Yeah, cheers.
Have a good week.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.